And we are live with episode number 55 of Empty the Bench. Tom Albano here along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. And gentlemen, the NFL is officially back. The NBA is in its conference finals. It's making its way to the NBA finals. The Stanley Cup finals begins tonight.
It's finally the Lightning's year. I mean, they're basically Rangers South, so
there's not many.
For Ryan McDonough.
I was gonna say there's not many Rangers left on that team, but yeah, it's the Stars, one of the bigger, surprising teams, I guess, to come out of the West, and like you said, Rangers South of the Lightning, and baseball is about to enter its last week of the season, so all the sports are coming together. It's going to be a crazy time.
As long as we can make it through air quality issues and positive test issues, I think we'll somehow make it through the playoffs somehow.
Oh, please don't jinx it, because that's right when the earthquake comes in and swallows us whole.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's take 10 minutes or so. Let's go over some of those big storylines to come out of week one. I know week two officially started a couple days ago with the Browns and Bengals, but since we're weekly, let's go over some of the week one stuff. So I think the biggest storyline to come out of week one is Tom Brady and the Buccaneers offense. Pretty much not, like it says, not connecting, a lot of miscommunication as the Bucs fell to the Saints. And Nick Morgasen, at least for 1 week, I mean, it is only 1 week, but for 1 week, you were correct.
The chemistry was not there. And just watching that game, it looked like Tom Brady. Well, this was for all of week one. It looked like people were a step slow because they didn't have training camp.
Yeah, they didn't have a preseason.
So everything looked slow, but he just looked like he was not on task. And then he comes out after we didn't have it. We didn't play well. Well, you think you didn't play well? No one really played well except for Patrick Mahomes in week one.
I didn't think it was as bad. We'll get into why the preseason, not having the preseason was a bit of a downside and just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the connection between Brady and Evans, I thought Brady and Evans was going to be a great connection, and at least for this 1 week, was not there. Arians basically throwing Brady under the bus, saying he has to play better.
And the National Take Factory was pretty much working at 157% capacity, blaming Brady, blaming Bruce Arians, blaming Bill Belichick for some reason, because you can't talk about Brady without somehow bringing him up, almost as if he's some kind of quasi-religious figure. But what really annoys me about a lot of the coverage this week, it really felt like the backlash to the backlash was, you can't dare criticize Tom Brady. Do you have any idea what he's done? Are you people insane? How dare you criticize the holy?
I think Brady had every right to be criticized.
Oh yeah, he did. Because he's on a new team. He's old enough, and again, he chose this. He could have walked off into the sunset, but he chose this.
Well, that's what's so crazy about
it. It's all on him.
That's what's so crazy about this whole thing, that the man is what? Isn't he in his 40s now?
43.
He's 43. He's defied the odds already as a starting quarterback. One more hit, and he might end up getting knocked out for the rest of his career. Well, what's the rest of his career at this point? We don't know. But he said he wants to play until he's 50. And if he plays until he's 50, I'd be impressed. But
he's trying to be the football Gordie Howe, but he might end up being the football Jamie Moyer.
Or Julio Franco.
Speaking of New England and Belichick, Cam Newton, his first game in New England. And, guys, he looked great.
He
2 rushing touchdowns. He, unlike Brady, he seemed to connect with everybody, include from, Julian Edelman to Nkelari. Everything seemed to be on point there. He seems to have connected with Belichick's system very well. And you know what? Now he's Belichick 1, Brady 0 after 1 week.
You know what's scary? He was the rushing leader in the game, 75 yards.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's the magic of Bill Belichick, in that he basically killed the drifter, sacrificed his soul to the sun god, and somehow managed to make Cam Newton good again.
Well, I mean, yes, what you were saying before, Nick, it is scary that he was the rushing leader, especially when you consider that he has been very injury prone over the last couple of seasons. But at the same time, the style of quarterback that we saw from Cam Newton in week 1, that's how Cam has always been. He looked like the Cam from that 2015 season where he, was in the NFL MVP, went 15-1 with the Panthers and reached the Super Bowl.
Well, what's so weird about this whole situation, watching that game, is it didn't look like Patriots football out there. They were running the football. You never saw Brady step out of the pocket. Cam was stepping out of the pocket, moving the pocket, trying to move the ball. They were playing running football, which is so weird for the Patriots because the Patriots are usually throwing passes and driving the field.
I mean, for the past 15 years, our definition of Patriot football was entirely defined on what Belichick could do with Brady under center. So that was Patriots football. Now that we've got Cam, now he has to reinvent what Patriot football is meant to be, which is essentially trying to do what Patrick Mahomes does, but with more running.
Well, Patrick Mahomes is a star.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is very different. But after 1 week, I mean, the redefinition looks very good. So, also in week 1, we saw the debut of Joe Burrow, and we saw his second game back on Thursday against Cleveland. And guys, while Cincinnati bleeped the bed in those 2 games, you got to give credit where credit is due, and that Joe Burrow he's looked phenomenal in 2 games now.
If it wasn't for a dumb penalty, they would have won week 1.
Which I thought was kind of BS. I thought it was a BS penalty on Green, but I mean, that kicker, oh my goodness, cramping up and missing a chip shot.
Wait a minute. Do you remember what I said to you guys in a pre-show meeting? Like, you know how in baseball they do PFP, pitchers fielding practice, so that obviously they can't, if they get hurt or something happens, they practice these plays. Do you think that they ever come up with a play where they can say, oh, wait, cramp, field goal kicker, cramp, what do I do?
Like taking a dive practice?
No, but just like if they have to get the ball out and try to...
Oh, yeah.
An emergency situation.
Maybe. I mean, in the NFL, you never know when the zebra's going to be, going to pee in the punch bowl, metaphorically. But, I mean...
Either way, the Bengals were not prepared for it.
Yeah, either way, they weren't. There was no way. They were just too stunned.
What is the rule on that? Because I don't remember. Like, say you don't kick the field goal. Can you run it in? Is that a 2-point conversion?
You can try to impromptu fake it.
Okay, I didn't know if you could. Okay,
but either way, I mean, heartbreaking for Burrow because his defense has played like crap, and the kicker, I mean,
what did you expect going to the number 1 overall pick team?
Yeah. Right, I know, fair. I'm just saying, these were 2 games, that he could have won, and they're 0-2.
At least it looked like they had an offensive line that could actually hold him up.
Well, we'll get to that, but let's stick with the kicking theme here. So, Sunday Night Football, LA Rams, Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are down 3 with about 10 minutes left. McCarthy and the Cowboys, McCarthy's first game, by the way, in Dallas. And they could go for the field goal, but no, they decide for whatever reason to not kick and go for it. Didn't work, and the Rams ended up winning the game.
So the exact same things that cost him in the playoffs when he was with Green Bay cost him in Dallas, but this time in the regular season. But I guess McCarthy's going to McCarthy no matter where you put him.
Yeah, but you knew what you were getting. Like Nick just said, McCarthy is a throw the torch, and if you burn somebody, then it happens.
Yeah, it's his style of coaching is ready, fire, aim.
Right. You're going to be hit or miss. It's pretty much a 50-50 shot if you're going to land the opportunity.
True. Let's stick one more kicking theme. So Monday Night Football, Gostkowski. Very bad day with the Titans. Remember when Gostkowski was incredible over in New England? Well, it didn't work here.
But wait, timeout. I need to, because you've said that. Not timeout, literally, no pun intended. But basically what I was going to say is you're now saying that. I've heard a bunch of people say that. Like, I'm getting a little, not that I'm blaming you, but I'm just saying I'm getting tired of people saying that, oh, Gostkowski was a kicker on the Patriots, so he was always good, and then he goes to Tennessee and he has a bad day. Being on a team doesn't make a difference of how good a bad kicker you are.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was the team's fault or his. I'm just saying he looked terrible.
I'm just saying, but people are making that perception that because like he was on Tennessee.
No. I'm not making that. I'm just saying. we have to call a spade a spade. It was a very bad day, and they got lucky because for whatever reason, Denver was not calling a timeouts as Derrick Henry.
Speaking of timeouts,
we all have a bad day. We all put our pants on backwards.
Wait.
Sometimes we get a crucial field goal.
Wait. I don't chalk this up to being a bad day. This is inexperience of a head coach not saying, oh, wait, if we took our 2 or 3 timeouts, we'd have a minute left on the back end and we might have won the game.
You know, at a certain point, every coach has to think that for the first time. But you're hoping that it doesn't happen at that point.
Wait, you mean Vic bleeping Fangio?
Yeah, because Vic Fangio, it's like he's a 7-year-old. I can pass it in reverse. I didn't know that.
No, but what's so funny about that is he came out after the game and said, "Oh, I would have done the same thing." And then a day later, he makes a 180 and says, "Oh, I should have taken the timeouts."
Guys, we had a couple of chokes in the witching hour for, as Scott Hanson would call it in some games. The Lions choking a lead to the Bears and the Eagles. My God, the Eagles. I mean, there goes my Washington 0-16 prediction because the Eagles blow a 17-0 lead to the Washington football team.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that Foles was the better quarterback. I mean, now Philly's starting to catch up. And
I wouldn't go that far considering Foles just lost a quarterback battle to Mitch Trubisky. But
that's sad. That is sad.
At that point in time, Foles was better, I guess.
I think, guys, in a couple of weeks, I'll say my hot take. I think in a couple of weeks, we'll be seeing Jalen Hurts as the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, Carson Wentz has become like the Kerry Wood of the NFL, where he's such a great pitcher. He'll get 20 strikeouts a game, but then he'll get hurt. Or actually, I'll go one better. Mark Pryor, same team, where
that's good.
Where everyone would say he's the best, he's amazing, he's got a lot of potential, but he was always hurt.
I would say 2007 Jabba Chamberlain, before the Midge game, but that's just the Yankee fan in me.
Nick Morgasen, I want your thoughts on how the Jets looked against the Bills.
Why? Why must you do this to me as a Jet fan? We already know that.
Hey, we've got nothing to celebrate, all right?
Hey, at least you have a halfway decent quarterback. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll take that back. But basically, that the whole Jet situation with Le'Veon Bell now going on IR for 3 weeks, and I think his mind is halfway out to the other side of the coast, but that's a whole different issue. And wide-eye gaze, that's a whole nother issue in itself. But I just don't well, you know what? I knew they were going to lose. Buffalo is one of the top teams in the conference. So we knew that they were going to win. They brought in Stephon Diggs, which for some reason Minnesota just discarded him for whatever reason. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And Darnold looks a step slow.
Yeah, I've never seen the amount of sports radio and the fan I've been listening to this week. My God, the explosions of Jets Nation. For the Giants, even though they lost, at least there were items that looked good. But for the Jets, I mean, dear God, you guys looked like as bleep.
I'm going to say this one more time, and this was in my prediction when you put it out there. If they finish 500, that's considered a victory for the year.
I'd say that's a miracle at this rate.
Which, is par for the course when it comes for the Jets. But, yeah.
So, guys, this, of course, came before Thursday's game. So the Browns got embarrassed by the Ravens on Sunday. Everybody looked terrible. And then we hear rumors that Odell Beckham might be traded. So supposedly, old friend of ours and Mike Francesa was saying this stuff, but Mike Florio of PFT suggested, hey, maybe they should trade Odell. But I don't know. I mean, I want to say yes, but at this rate, Odell's value is kind of zero because, he doesn't get a chance to do much in games because everybody double teams him. It seems like Jarvis Landry is the wide receiver 1 over in Cleveland right now.
Hey, he had a touchdown on Thursday Night Football.
Right. I was saying, and Baker, there were rumors that if he didn't perform against Cincinnati, he would have been benched. But you know what? Cleveland, they looked much better on Thursday against Cincinnati.
Well, do you think that was because someone lit a fire under their ass, or do you think that
I think Baker specifically had a fire under his behind because he doesn't want to lose his starting position to Case Keenum.
Well, if he's not careful,
Nobody wants that.
He's going to wait a minute. If Baker doesn't perform, Baker's going to end up like the commercial where he's going to be putting the seat covers over the chairs, and he's going to be making up the field and not playing. So,
I mean, I will basically hate Dave Gettleman until the heat death of the universe for trading Odell away. So, but he's good enough that he can overcome these kind of rough spots.
I want to ask, well, it might be an obvious question, but maybe not. Do you think that Odell is one of those guys that needs the big time lights to perform?
Well, Odell has said in the fallout to all the news that if he gets traded, we talked about what is Odell's end game, and that is, do you want to be the wide receiver 1 or do you want to be on a winning team? And he said both. He will not accept either, only one or the other, which I understand with Odell, but that's a lot harder, said. I mean, that's a lot harder done than said.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Odell has got to figure out, one, he's got to get out of his own head because he's got the ego the size of Texas. And
I was just going to say that I think he needs to find a way to prioritize one over the other. He needs to figure out, do I want to win more or do I want to be on a playoff team?
Yeah.
And one last thing here, guys. Injuries aplenty. George Kittle is out week 2. I just got an alert on my phone in breaking news. Chris Godwin is out week 2. We still don't know about Mike Evans, but he's hopeful to play. Marlon Mack is done for the year. Blake Jarwin is done for the year. You are seeing injuries aplenty across the NFL. Should we maybe have a 2-week preseason now? I just find it ironic that the preseason got canceled because of COVID, and it ends up not being COVID. That's the big concern right now with the NFL.
I think all sports were screwed this year because they didn't have training camps or spring training or anything. And athletes need time to get their bodies ready to play the sport that they're going to play. And we saw this happen in Major League Baseball. We just saw an alert that Justin Verlander is going to be done now until 2022. And that's all probably because pitchers need time to stretch their arms out so they can pitch. Now you're seeing it in the NFL. There's injuries because they didn't have a training camp.
God, I didn't think anybody would be waxing nostalgic about the training camp, but here we are.
All right, so guys, quickly, let's go over to the NBA. So we have our conference finals. They're in progress right now. Nuggets versus Lakers out in the West. The Lakers up 1-0. We get to this, and the Heat versus the Celtics.
Wait a minute. Can you say those matchups again, please?
The Nuggets versus the Lakers and the Heat versus the Celtics. Yes, this is not 2009. It's 2020. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you said those again because for people who were expecting all the big names and they want to put a giant asterisk because the names are not there. I just wanted to make sure you said them again. Okay, continue.
Okay, so yes, the Lakers are up 1-0 over the Nuggets. The Heat are up 2-0 over the Celtics. The Nuggets reached the finals after the Los Angeles Clippers and Kawhi Leonard blew a 3-1 series lead.
Same as last year.
And the Miami Heat advanced after upsetting Giannis, the NBA MVP, and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Not just upset, demolish, a sweep, or was it a sweep, or was it a? I don't even know. I can't keep track at this point. But
the Heat.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and the Heat versus the Celtics. I mean, again, the Heat are still looking dominant. The Celtics are down 2-0, and it's causing guys to throw chairs in the locker room.
Yeah, Marcus Smart, decided to, I don't know, curse and yell at teammates. And then Malika Andrews, who's an ESPN reporter down in the bubble, said that she reportedly saw a chair get thrown across the locker room and hit the wall. And remember, guys, I said this to you that Miami might have a good chance of winning this because of chemistry, and we're seeing guys like Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and all those guys creating chemistry that's really carrying this team to go forward. We're not seeing that with the Celtics.
No. I don't know how the Lakers perform against the Nuggets, but should we? Because first of all, if the Heat win tonight in Game 3,
it's over.
The Celtics are not a team that can come down from 0-3 like the Boston Red Sox will 4. But should we consider writing in Lakers versus Heat already?
Well, and this is going to sound odd, and for anybody who's watching this, including Laker fans, you might want to cover your ears, but I wouldn't count the Nuggets out.
Why is that?
I wouldn't count the Nuggets out because, again, like the Heat, the Nuggets have a chemistry. You have the team led by Jamal Murray and Jokic, who have both been playing amazingly well. That's what got them back in the series. And by the way, just to go back to how disgraceful the Clippers played in that series, Paul George comes out afterwards and says this wasn't a championship or bust season. Are you kidding me, Paul George?
After you traded 5 first-round picks, if it's not this year, you got to win like next year, maybe the year after, but you're running out of time, Clippers.
And I'll throw one more at you. The Clippers are done with swaps and draft picks until 2027.
Ooh, I felt that from here. Oh God, I have a headache now. Oh.
I'm throwing that out there because people don't realize, it's the Clippers. They'll come back next season. You have to win. When you make a trade like that, and by the way, I'll bring up a story I was telling the guys earlier before we started this. The Celtics, who made the giant trade with the Nets back in the day, and they traded, the Nets took on Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Jason Terry, while the Celtics got 4 picks from that, and 2 of them were Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So just look at how trades fall and the values that they bring. Draft picks are valuable. Now,
especially in the NBA. They are more valuable in the NBA than they are anywhere else.
Definitely.
But I need to call out Nets Daily here because I have to.
Oh, no.
Because, and by the way, for people who don't know this, the guys, we were in a class, a master's class way back, quickly. And they got mad at me for something that I said on a college radio station. They called me out for it. That's the short story. This time, they got mad at the Heat because they called the Heat Jimmy Butler and a bunch of pieces. Well, I'm sorry. Last time I checked, you need a star and you need a bunch of young pieces to make a team to make a run, right?
I'm going to say what I said on the thing. On one hand, it literally is Jimmy Butler and a bunch of pieces. But on the flip, they're the ones who are 2 games away, maybe even 1 game away after tonight from reaching the NBA Finals.
Right, and that's what I'm saying here. The bubble situation, I get. It is a difficult situation to play in. You're stuck with your teammates whether you like them or not. You can absolutely hate these people, and you have to stay in the bubble. But I think it's actually harder to win in this situation than it is to go on your typical road or home floor and win. So, in my opinion, Nets Daily has a bunch of jealousy because they can't accept the fact that Miami is actually doing it with 1 star and a bunch of chemistry involved.
You know what? What I'll say about that is you can definitely win at Scrabble with a bunch of pieces. So people like bunches of pieces, especially when they're Lucky Charms marshmallows.
That's true.
They're magically delicious.
Very quickly here, just want to mention Stanley Cup Final begins tonight's Tampa Bay Lightning Dallas Stars, and if you want this Hockey Fans prediction, the Stars were one of the best teams in the Eastern Division, if not, in the Atlantic Division, if not the entire Eastern Conference. The Stars, were a wild card team. I think playing. They ended up playing in that playoffs. The round. They weren't in the round robin at the start, correct?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think so. No.
So it's been a little more of a difficult road for them. They had that 7-game series in the second round with the Avalanche. The Lightning have just been purely dominant since this playoffs have started. I think it's time that Ryan McDonough, one of our old pals on the Rangers, Ryan McDonough, And Kevin Shattenkirk, they get their cup. I think the Lightning are going to win this.
I would have to say, yeah. Normally, the Lightning have been competitive for really, really long, and now I think they're finally ready to take that step and hoist.
All right, guys. Week 2 predictions. Very quickly, we're going to run through them here. So Broncos versus Steelers.
I'll take the Steelers.
I'm going to go with the Steelers as well. They looked very good against the Giants. They're looking like their normal selves, even though part of that is still playing down to your competition.
Yeah.
I was going to say, wait a minute. You were playing against a team that had no line whatsoever. It was a bunch of Swiss cheese.
An offensive line that was basically a myth.
But I don't know. The Broncos are kind of that. They scared me in week 1, especially with the whole timeout situation. Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Rams versus Eagles. Trying to see if we have any outs on this game.
Yeah, I didn't see much on this game, so it's an interesting one. I will say the Rams actually just signed 2 of their receivers to extensions. I think Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Right?
They both got hit.
Yeah. I don't trust the Eagles at all, so I'm taking the Rams.
Tom?
Right. I'm getting a little bit technical difficulties on my end. I don't see if we have any injuries right now, but
This is a weird one, actually.
Well, it's a minus. The spread is 1 point, so this is basically a pick'em game here.
Well, do you trust the Eagles after losing to the Washington football team in week 1?
No, I mean, here, hang on, I got some injuries. So Alshon Jeffrey is out for this game. That's what I was trying to think of. Alshon Jeffrey out because
he's been hurt. He's been hurt. So
fair. I mean, no, I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Yeah, I think I got to take the Rams also. The Eagles scared me in week 1.
Okay, let's do an easier matchup, guys. 49ers and Jets. I mean, George Kittle is out, but the 49ers lost to the Cardinals and Kyler Murray last week. They're going to come out with a fire under them. I see Raheem Mostert running all over that field.
I have him in fantasy. He was amazing last week.
Niners all the way.
Niners, yeah. It's going to hurt, guys.
This is going to be a lopsided mess, the Niners.
The Giants versus the Bears. I think this is actually a winnable matchup for the Giants because the Bears' defense outside of Khalil Mack kind of looks like Swiss cheese. And, I mean, come on, Mitch Trubisky is playing quarterback. What does that tell you?
All right, but could someone answer to me? Saquon could not get through the offensive line.
To be fair, Pittsburgh's defense is one of the best in the NFL.
But they couldn't. The offensive line was not giving him a chance.
Like I said, the offensive line was a myth. They weren't giving him holes, and Danny was basically running for his life.
Well, did you notice also that Saquon, as he was getting ready to run through, he got slapped even before running through the offensive line?
Yeah, by his own guys. Who does that?
All right, Bears. I'll go Bears.
I'm going Bears, too.
I'm going Bears.
I'm just saying that this is a winnable game.
It's a winnable game, but I think
it's a winnable game.
But I think the offensive line is still a problem.
Okay, Jaguars versus Titans. The Jaguars, they won their matchup last week, but the Titans, they had to light a fire under them to get to their win last week. But I think it's going to be a bounce back Titans.
I'm taking the Titans, too.
Titans.
Okay, Falcons and Cowboys. Again, I think this is another situation where the losing team is going to have that fire under them. I'm going with the boys.
Yep, I'm going to go with the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, Cowboys. Falcons have some issues to work out.
Vikings versus Colts. The Vikings.
You mentioned the major injury, Marlon Mack being done for the year.
Yeah, so it's going to be Jonathan Taylor and Hines now running it for the Colts. The Vikings, this is what I'm going to say about the Vikings. I know people are down on them and their defense was but remember something. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. I think he showed that in week 1. I know they drafted the Love in the first round, and that's still one of the big storylines of this season right now, but the Packers looked great. I'm writing that off as, one game. The Colts, under Rivers, they were I'm going to go Vikings on this one. I think this is going to be a bounce back.
I am too.
I like the Vikings. I just like the way they look. I think they have a chance to make a run.
Speaking of the Lions versus the Packers. Packers all the way. They looked sharp week 1. They looked so sharp. And I think the Lions, Kenny Galladay's out.
Yeah, Devontae Adams for the Packers looked really good in week 1 also.
And so
never bet against Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking the Packers.
And so did their young receivers like Lazard and Valdez-Scantling.
I was able to pick him up off the scrap heap this week.
Bills versus the Dolphins. Like we've been saying, Josh Allen, he started a little, but the Bills were dominant against the Jets. I think similar situation here. Bills. Panthers versus Buccaneers. Does Tom Brady have the bounce back, or does Teddy Bridgewater upset Tom Brady?
Did you really just say that?
I'm making the bold prediction. I'm picking that Teddy is going to outplay Tom.
Oh,
wait a minute, Tom. Get me a line, please. Get me a point spread line because I'm curious to see what this is while you're looking that up. I don't know.
Buccaneers are an 8.5 favorite.
Who's an 8.5?
8.5 for the Bucs.
That's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I mean, you have the leading running back in all the NFL, but their wide receiving core is an absolute mess. So I think Tom Brady doesn't lose 2 in a row. I think the Bucs.
Yeah, I agree. Bucs. Washington football team and the Cardinals. Washington needed. I'm going to write that win off as an absolute fluke. I still think they're going to do terrible. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, that connection, that is sweet.
That's really good.
The running back, Kenyon Drake looked well.
You have Kirk on that team too, right?
Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald. I think they've got a strong offensive unit after 1 week.
I think they're going to. I really do think they'll make the playoffs this year.
I don't know if I go that far, but I think they're going to run over Washington.
Yeah, me too.
I think they run over Washington. Yeah.
Chiefs versus Chargers. Joke.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Chiefs.
I think this is a rout.
Okay, this one's going to be interesting. Ravens, Texans.
Hey, this is the battle of big offense versus big defense.
And I think that's the thing. I think as much as Deshaun, battled back towards the end of that game against the Chiefs, I think it's going to be a similar situation here where that Ravens defense is just going to be too much for him. Ravens.
Yeah, I think Ravens are too good. Lamar, I don't know. Did you see the controversy in week 1 that Harbaugh wouldn't pull him out after a large lead, and he came out and spoke about it afterwards?
Yeah, but I don't think it was that much of a big deal. Like we were saying, the Texans, now that DeAndre Hopkins is over in Arizona, Deshaun Watson's still Deshaun Watson, but losing the best wide receiver in this game. Come on.
Let's see. Who do we mark?
Who do we mark? I have to take the Ravens.
Wait a minute. Who do we mark this up against? Bill O'Brien, the coach, or Bill O'Brien, the GM?
Yes.
Okay, no, of course.
All right. Sunday Night Football, guys. Patriots versus the Seahawks.
This is a lot closer than I thought.
Let me see who the favorite is.
I would think the Seahawks.
The Seahawks. Yeah, the Seahawks are the home team. And you know what? I'm going to say Seahawks. I think
Russell Wilson's been a stud.
Not just that, but I think people underrate that defense over in Washington.
I mean, you have Carson at running back. You have I forgot who the rest of the receivers are.
You have Jamal Adams, your old friend, now over on their defensive unit. I think
somehow this guy keeps finding a team to play on. Also,
I'm going to take the Patriots actually.
Okay, so it's down to you, Nick.
Seattle. Russell Wilson has been on a tear. It just looks like he's on fire.
Guys, Monday Night Football. The Raiders make their Las Vegas debut, and there's not going to be any fans with them. And it's going to end on an L because you're playing Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara. Now, I know Michael Thomas is out, but Kamara, you can have Emmanuel Sanders, who looked great in week 1, even as the number 2 wide receiver. Traquan Smith over there could be stepping up. I think this is going to be a rout for the Saints.
Yeah, you got to pick the Saints because you know what? Having Popeye be upset at his own housewarming party, I mean, I really think that, oh, boy.
By any chance,
wide banana.
By any chance, do you have a spread on that game?
Yes. The Saints are only a 5.5 favorite, which I think they will blow out.
What? Oh, I would take that line by far and throw it in the garbage. Saints are going to run over that spread.
I think, but part of that might have to be because Michael Thomas is out. But even then,
he's going to be out until what, week 4?
That's suspected till week 4.
Ugh. Yeah, Saints.
All right, and guys, quickly, week 3 Thursday night prediction because we're not going to have a show before then. Dolphins and Jaguars. It's an ick match. Such an ick matchup again, but you know what? The Dolphins are obvious. I don't know.
It's the Battle of Florida. We had the Battle of Ohio last Thursday. Now we had the Battle of Florida.
I guess I have to go with the Jags.
There's no spread on this one, but
trust Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I was just thinking that, we could have the Fitzmagic, but you know what? As much as we had Fitzmagic last season, he looked terrible week 1, Fitzpatrick. Minshew looked great, and James Robinson, that young running back, with Chris Thompson, even the rookie Chenault Jr. looked good. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go Jags.
I mean, I hate both teams. I think they're both terrible teams, but I think the Jaguars just have more than the Dolphins do. So, Jags.
Took us a little while, but finally we're at the end of the show. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at E2B Sports for all the different sports news you can hear about. Make sure to give us a like and a follow here so you can be up to, speed on when we go live. And make sure to go to our website at mtthebenchsports.com. So till then, Nick Fodera, Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.
And happy Rosh Hashanah to all those who celebrate.
Yes, happy holidays.
Shout out to what?